Senior Fellow in Security and Defense at the German Marshall Fund. He's joining me from Brussels. Bruno, it's interesting. This isn't a new concept, is it? The idea of old wars versus new wars. Old wars, tanks, trench warfare, cluster munitions, and then new wars, the world of drones and disinformation. But what has the invasion of Ukraine taught us about these tactics, old wars versus new wars?
Well, I think we're just looking at multi-dimensional warfare now, where on the one hand, you still need the tanks, the jet fighters, the frigates, but those traditional capabilities are being reinforced with new disruptive technologies. Think about drones, both in the air but on sea. Think about intelligent networks, machine learning. So both need to go hand in hand, new technologies and old technologies. And this, frankly speaking, is a new form of warfare. Everyone at NATO, for instance, is closely looking at what's happening in Ukraine, is trying to learn at the battlefields, seeing, the new tactics, how we need to adapt. So this kind of warfare is not new to NATO, but it came at earnest on the radar. And yes, this is definitely a new form of strategy, of tactics for military war leaders. And Ukraine is really leading the way there. There's no doubt about that.
So would you say that Ukraine really has the upper hand in trying to fight on these multiple fronts, this kind of new multifaceted warfare?
Well, we also see, for instance, at the Industry Forum that the amount of Ukrainian startups in the defense industry is really high. But obviously, there's also an economic component to it. In order to combine and use those new disruptive technologies, you also need microchips and silicone. And obviously, there Ukraine is also dependent on the world market or on Western technology to construct and build this new kind of technology. So that's why it's also important for Ukraine to keep working with its partners in the West, but also then for the Western partners to do a big push and deliver these technologies.
Bruno, there's a lot of conflicts going on in the world. Is this conflict in Ukraine kind of singular in that we're seeing these kind of new technologies playing out at the same time?
Well, I think it's really the first war where we see such an intensity of technology and artificial intelligence being used. And it's not only on the battlefield. Look, for instance, how the images of drones are playing a very strong role on social media, trying to win the hearts and the minds of the population. We see that these images are being used also for propaganda benefits on both sides. So, yes, the Ukraine war in this sense is a really new type of war. And I'm sure, military leaders will be looking at this for many years to come after the war is over. This is really a new step.
Bruno Lete. Bruno, thank you very much for speaking to us from Brussels.